Strength training for the lower back. Great idea when you're considering to train the core muscles that you also include the low back muscles. Well, one of my philosophies is however much time you spend training the abdominals, you should also train the lower back muscles. For example, 15 minutes. If I do ab stuff, then I should also do 15 minutes of lower back stuff, keeping in mind that sometimes the exercises you're doing, whether you're using machine weights or free weights, also include different muscles of the core. So let's get started. I have 6 different low back exercises I want to teach you during this session. The first one, there's 3 different movements. Okay, your hands can be here or your hands can be underneath your chin. First movement, you're just raising the upper half of your body, holding it for about 5 or 10 seconds, then you lower. Second movement is raising the legs, holding it for the same time, 5 or 10 seconds, and then you lower it. And then the third movement is raising the top half and the bottom half simultaneously and holding it for a similar 5 or 10 seconds. And you can repeat that about 5 times or 10, up to you. I'll show you right now a good position to do during this kind of low back training is coming back into what's known in yoga as the child's pose, because the lower back exercises can tend to compress and compact the vertebrae at the base of your spine, and this position does a really nice gentle job of opening everything back up. So consider doing this position consistently while you're training lower back, or even during other parts of your daily life if you find you have a lot of stress in this area of your body. So that's the first one. The second one, here I am in a back extension, and this is starting position. Try and keep your shoulders comfortable. The elbows are underneath the shoulder. You have weight in the forearms. And keeping your hips on the ground, both hips stay on the ground. You're just going to lift one leg. Hold it for about 5 or 10 seconds and then lower. And do the exact same thing. Time for students. Easy to rotate the hip. So you can imagine you're pushing both hips into the ground. Okay? Hard. And you lift yourself up. So now you've increased the back extension, and you would do the same thing. Okay, I can't move my leg very much, but if I go to the full on my toes, okay, now I have to keep my abdominals tight, bringing my belly button to my spine to protect my lower back, keeping the hips even, equal distance to the ground. I raise one leg, hold it for about 10 seconds, and then I lower it and I'll raise the other leg, trying to keep the shoulders relaxed, down and away from the ears. My elbows are slightly bent. And you just repeat. Adding a difficulty, you can bring that leg to the side. And then return to center, and then lower. I'll change my angle. Might be easier for you to see what I'm doing. Starting position, elbows bent, shoulders relaxed, abs tucked in tight to protect the lower back. I raise one leg, keeping the hips equal distance to the ground, and I bring that leg out sideways. And back to center, and come down. Okay. Number 3, starting position is right here. You're going to raise the hips. Okay, now what I like to do, I like to curl my spine one vertebrae at a time as I lift up. Here in this position, I'm using the hamstrings, the glutes, and the lower back to bring myself in this position. And when I lower, same thing in reverse, trying to curl the spine and ending up with the base of the spine touching last. So that's the basic movement. You can add a difficulty level by raising one leg, holding each of these positions for about 10 seconds or longer. Okay, you also have the option, when the leg is up there, leave it up there as you uncurl the spine back to the ground and then raise it back up. Okay, different choices for you with this exercise. Okay, now a couple of variations. Here I have a plastic volleyball. If I do the exact same thing, but this time with the ball between my knees, it makes things a little bit different. Mainly is I am using the internal leg muscles to squish the ball between my knees, but the movement is the same. Up and down, same muscles are working, but now the inner leg muscles are also working. And I find it helps my hips stay in a better position. The slight difference with the ball between your legs is when you raise one leg off the ground, because my knees have to stay in line to keep that ball where it is. Okay, another slight variation with that same movement. Here I have a rock that's 6 kilos. You can use a weight plate, and I need to balance it on my foot. And then this is my starting position. You can see my leg is shaking because it's quite challenging. Then I would lift my hips up off the ground and slowly lower. All right, a weight plate is going to be a little bit easier. I get a cramp right here in this muscle because it's flat. This rock, not quite so easy. So choose a weight plate about 5 kilos. You don't need to go very heavy because it's quite challenging enough. So that was 3. Now number 4, leg curls with your feet on the ball. Here I have a stability ball with some grass on it. So you're going to put the ball by your feet and your feet on top of the ball. And the movement is this, trying to make sure that the knees are pointing up to protect the ligament at the back of the knee. And I like to roll my spine back down instead of keeping my spine straight like a board. So that's the main movement. You can also add a leg curl, which brings the ball closer to your hips. Really good exercise now. Lower the bottom part of the legs, the glutes, and the lower back. You can do it one leg. I find it too difficult for me, and my muscles always seem to cramp up, but maybe it's not too difficult for you. So that's the leg curls with the feet on the ball. 2 more. This one is going to use the ball again. So you're going to lift up your hips. I have my arms a little bit wider for support, and I just do a crossover with my legs. So now the effort is targeted on the side of the body, the middle to the side of the back. And then I'll go back to center and I'll cross over. I'm going to change my it again because I'm not sure if the camera angle displays that well enough. So here I am, my arms are a bit wider, give myself a base, and I just cross one leg over the other, and I like to hold it for about 5 or 10 seconds, and I'll come back to center and then cross over on the other side, and I'll repeat this at least 5 times. Okay. And the last exercise I call reverse plank. My neighbors are outside in their pool. So here, starting position, you can have your fingers pointing to your feet or fingers pointing the other way. Depends on the flexibility of your wrist. And I'm going to lift my hips and bring myself into a reverse plank. Again, here I think it's important not to let the knees go straight. Always have them slightly pointed upwards, and the elbows are also a little bit bent. Okay, so 6 different exercises for the lower back. You can try, you don't need to do all of them during one training session. Maybe choose 1 or 2 or 3 during a specific training session, and then the next time you train, choose 2 or 3 different ones.